Hey, what's up? Welcome back to OK Last Try. Our first guest back is Thomas Barker. He's the Director of Sales and Partnerships for Jenkem Magazine and co-founder of CSEF, the College Skateboarding Educational Fund.
Foundation, you got close.
Foundation?
Yeah.
What did I say, fund?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
All good.
All right, we're fucking up right off the bat. You know how it goes. We're learning again. It's been a few years since we've done this, so I got to.
It's a tongue twister. Not gonna hold it against you.
When did you start CSEF?
We're going into our 9th year, so I think we filed the paperwork a decade ago now. So.
Damn, that's cool. Do you have something planned for a 10-year kind of celebration for it?
No, I went so crazy for the 5-year. I'm not even thinking about that. And going into 9, I still have another year before I really have to start thinking about that.
Hell yeah. Who'd you start it with?
It was with Keegan Gizzard. He was my other co-founder, and then Nefertali Williams was put us together. So they were the 2 other co-founders, kind of the 3 bears.
Sick. Nefertali is. I feel like he's the guy to go to for something like that.
He put us together. I guest spoke in his class, and he invited Keegan to introduce us. And then Keegan ran this thing called Collegiate Skate Tour, which was a contest series for college skate clubs. And I had been sitting on this business plan for a skate scholarship, and I was like, oh, I need someone to carry this. You want to do it? And Keegan did all the legwork to get it running and stuff.
Nice. And you didn't go to college, right?
No, I dropped out of high school to work in skateboarding.
So what made you want to do a scholarship thing for?
Because no one ever told me to go to school. I mean, my parents obviously, and they weren't happy that I dropped out, but I was working so much and never really riding the economic boom of the 90s and 2000s. So I was just in skateboarding and never had connections to school, hated going to school and everything. And then got let go from my job at Black Box, recession era. And randomly someone next to me was talking to someone else, and they're like, no one's hiring, you should go back to school. And I'd never heard anyone say that or anything. And I also realized around that time that all I knew was skateboarding. I had so many blind spots. This was right around when Obama was getting inaugurated, and I had no idea who he was or anything. And so my first day back in college was the night of Obama's inauguration, and I was in a poli-sci class. Oh, shit. And once you've worked a real job, you're college is easy. This is tight. I just sit here, I soak up in the information. This is way sicker than working in a warehouse.
Yeah.
Kind of just felt bad for dropping out of high school. And was also really curious about the nonprofit realm. And back then there was only it wasn't now where there's a ton of sick nonprofits that work in skateboarding. It was Tony Hawk Foundation, Sheckler Foundation maybe, and then IAS, International Association of Skateboard Companies, and that was it. So I was and I was also pretty jaded and burnt about how skateboarding just got lit on fire in 2008, and we all just got screwed, and there was no, I was oh, how do we help skateboarders?
Yeah.
And so this was randomly my idea, and it came to life.
Nice. So going back before that, you mentioned you had only worked in skating.
Yeah.
What was your first job in skating?
So my family had this backpack company called Clive. It's a skateboard backpack company, and I actually wrote in 5th or 6th grade. I did a computer project on a skateboard inspired skate company kind of, or a backpack company, and randomly these guys from the early days of Airwalk also were in my parents' ear about starting a brand. So I kind of inspired Clive to start.
Oh shit.
And I grew up on a farm in the sticks, and would just go to their office, and I would just talk their ears off and just be oh my god, I'm around people and I'm around skateboarding and then so I was 12, and I was so annoying they just put me to work. And so they would just have me file sales stuff and ship out orders, and that just naturally grew and grew and grew. And I remember I worked for 2 or 3 years before I was legally allowed to get a work permit, and just went all out for that. And then once I got my license, I would just ditch school and sneak in the back and go to work, and then they'd see my pay stub, and they'd be how did you work 40 hours this week? Like, you're supposed to be in school. And so, like, Clive, like, gave me, like, I would go to all the trade shows. They took me to Europe a few times.
Were you going to, like, Agenda and all that kind of stuff?
It was ASR back then. And we were, like, the ASR brats kind of thing. Like, we could sneak into anything. Like, when we were, like, 14, 15, sneaking into the Soltech booth and stealing beer. Like, we just, like, kind of ran the place. And, like, we were just, like, the kids that didn't really have anything to do there. But, like, back then, like, every brand would, like, premiere a promo video and all of this stuff. And I would just fucking love to just go around and just, like, talk to everyone and kind of, I even got arrested at ASR.
What happened?
So I was 15. It was, like, early days of Clive. We made fake flyers for a fake Michael Jackson and Bubbles concert at ASR. And, like, one of the marketing director, like, gave me and my best friend all these flyers. Just like, go put up flyers around downtown San Diego. And we're putting one on an Ace parking sign. And an undercover rolled up and just, like, arrested both me and my friend for vandalism, because the year before Volcom had, like, blown out San Diego, so they're, like, cracking down on it. And we got fully taken to jail over putting up an Ace parking sign. And luckily, like, on the way there, even, like, when they were taking us to jail, they watched this guy put a Mammoth Mountain sticker on something, and they pulled over and arrested him too, and he was the marketing director of Mammoth. And they took us all to jail, and luckily, like, Juvie was like, we're not taking these guys, like, and they let us go in that day, but, like, the marketing director had to spend, like, a night in jail over it and stuff.
Oh my God.
I was, like, shook, and I went back to ASR, and I was, like, meeting up with my parents, and I was fully, like emotional, like, crying and stuff, and I just remember this guy, Jeff King, who's, like, an old pro skater, like, just, like, dogging me for crying at ASR. He's like, you baby, you're crying, and I'm like, just got arrested for the first time.
Full cuffs and everything?
Full cuffs, everything. And then we got charged with vandalism, and we had to go to, like, 3 weekends of graffiti management classes. And it was sick as fuck, because it was all, like, gangsters, like, taggers in there. And they gave us, like, a sheet of all the gangs, and, like, and I was, like, just getting into rap and stuff. I was like, oh, this is so interesting. Like,
got a quick history lesson you didn't even know about. Yeah,
so that was kind of, like, the early days of just, and then by the time Clive was kind of, when I basically worked so much, and, like, never, I felt, by the time when I was, like, 17, I was like, I was never a kid. Like, I was just getting over it, and kind of also talking shit, because, like, I wanted to be, like, the coolest, most hardcore company, and I'm like, we sponsor Bucky Lasik, like, you know? I was like, oh, put on Tom Penny, put on Arto or something. And then so when I was, like, 17, just kind of, like, burned out, and, like, ended up, I dropped out of high school, burned out on that, and then, like, was working pizza places and stuff. And randomly one day when I was, like, 18 or 19, like, everyone from Black Box had, like, known me, and, like, I'd done product trades with the general manager and just friends of friends and stuff. And the general manager came into my pizza shop, went up to the owner and said, that guy works for me. And I started falling the next day.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick. So you just got to ditch the pizzeria?
Yeah. And I, like between jobs, I'd gone back to that place. I still think, like, I learned more in that job, like, customer service and stuff, than, like, any job since.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, and that was, like, and then at Black Box, I worked there for, like, 4 or 5 years, and I got a raise or promotion, like, every month or two for the entire time.
Shit.
And because I was, like, basically when they hired me, Jamie had just taken over Fallen, and he wanted it all to be skaters in the warehouse. So, like, there's, like, 5 high schools in North County where I'm from, and they just he hired all the skaters that were, like, my age and just threw us in a warehouse, and everyone else was burnt and high and just, like, crazy, and I actually knew how to count. And, like, had, like, done promo orders before and everything, so then, like, ended up being, like, assistant TM and, like, assistant marketing director, and, like, kind of, like, gone up, and, like, I thought I'd be there for life. I thought at, like, Mystery Skateboards, I was going to run Mystery Skateboards my whole life. Like that was kind of my, like, friend posse, was because we were, like, the kids who liked rap. Like, I even remember being in the Zero warehouse where we put on rap, and we're like, are we allowed to do this in here? Like, which is just so funny looking back. So, yeah, and then, like, Black Box was, like, the biggest skate company in the world by the time, like, it imploded in 2008.
Yeah, you were there, like, at its peak, at its, like, glory days.
Yeah.
What videos were you there for? Like,
I just missed Misled Youth.
All right.
I went to the Dying to Live premiere but there was a riot and like basically, yeah, like I was around for Dying to Live, but I didn't work there yet. I was just like friends. Like Ryan Bobie went to school with me, and like we like shared a best friend kind of. So I was kind of just like grandfathered into that.
Hell yeah.
And then yeah, like New Blood. Definitely the Fallen video. I was like kind of like Sinclair's assistant and like Ian Barry's assistant for the whole thing. So I was always like the person, like anyone who'd come through and like get product. Like that's what I would do. I would just like, I ran the whole promo division basically, and we were giving out like $500,000 worth of shit a year. So I'd had to like pack the boxes, do the order entry, ship it all, like track it, do the spreadsheets and everything. And like, it was awesome because they like, it was when it was booming. So they weren't like counting, like we could just give out whatever we wanted. I'd
Hook
go
up
on
your homies.
Yeah. Or like I'd go on Friday and just put on new shit, like all new shit. Like I was in charge of the samples, and I wear sample size. So I'd wear like a new pair of shoes every day and shit. It was insane. We sponsored a bar, and like I ran the promos. And then when I turned 21, we just like had a bar that was like the local bar that we could just go into, and like I could like go out to the line, get him in, get her in, get that, and then like first beer was always free. Like it was insane. So
what was the best Fallen shoe at that time?
Oh, jeez, best Fallen shoe. Damn. I don't even know. Like my feet were so fucked from them by the end that like I don't know if I really. But like the Chiefs, the Troopers are just the ones that like pop into my mind. Like there was just a bunch of random ones. I actually remember the like from order entry. I can still remember like the codes, the product codes, like FA 10076. Like was like. I think that was the Trooper or something. Like,
isn't it fucked? Like you remember that kind of like that stuff sticks in your head.
Yeah,
like normal.
Because I had to do, you know, like I'm doing like hundreds of orders a week, order entry, and I would just put on rave music and sit there and like fucking do it, and then like bust it out, and like I don't know, it was super. I mean, I just like said yes to everything. And then, like, we had like, they moved in that big building. We had this giant skate park. Like,
yeah, was the park fun? Did you just get to skate it whenever you wanted, pretty much?
We had keys. And then also at one point, like, I was kind of the person where, like, if some of the higher-ups, like, weren't around, like, I'd have to go in and, like, kick people out or, like, go there at night when, like, I think, like, Pat Burke fell through the roof at one point. And, like, yeah, it was insane, like, having Pat Burke, Gilbert, James Hardy, like, all these people just living there. And, like, and then our skate house was kind of, like, the closest one to the building. So, like, to smoke weed and stuff, everyone would come to our house if you wanted to, like, get away from the prying eyes and stuff. So our skate house was, like, always having people in it.
Damn, so you were really in it. Like,
in it, like, you know, yeah, it's, like, weird to, I don't know, like, people got, like... in the last decade, like, over me talking about it so much, because I was just like, oh, like, people, like, stan World Industries, and I'm like, we were way crazier in those schools. Just we had to keep it on the DL, because, like, Jamie was, like, kind of straight-laced at that point, and he didn't want it to, like, know, like, how wild we were getting at all times.
He's gotten a pretty bad rap for being a boss or whatever, but when you were working there, I guess because it was kind of, like, doing well, did you have issues with, or was there, like, anything?
Yeah, he never liked me. But, like, I mean, like, we're, like, he respected me, and, like, I could count and, like, everything. But he claims that the first time I met him, I told him to get his tray flips up off the ground. I do not remember that whatsoever, but it was, I never got out of that hole. Like, and he's, like...
He just held that against you
forever.
He,
like, you know, yeah. And we were just, like, the party crew, and, like, so...
That's so funny, dude. Telling Jamie Thomas, get your tray flips off.
I don't even know. I don't remember it whatsoever. And, like, yeah, I was just a little shit talker. So.
Hey, I mean, you grow up in it, too. Like, everyone's shit talking around you. You're going to be shit talking. I feel like that's just how it goes.
Yeah. I can definitely throw the zingers with anyone, especially in those days. Like, it's funny looking back now because, like, people are scared to skate around, like, good skaters and stuff, like friends of mine. And I knew... Like, my first time I went to a skate park, Tony Hawk was there. Like, I had all these pros around at all times. Cause, like, Encinitas was, like, the Hollywood of skateboarding at that time. I never had, like, an inkling that I was going to be pro.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm like, dude, I'm not on your level. I can do my tricks and, like, do it all. And, like, I've like, kept that the whole time. So I'm like, I can skate around anyone. I don't give a shit.
That's definitely a big thing now, I feel like, especially in New York. Like, there's a lot of, like, really good skaters everywhere. And I know people who will be like, yeah, I don't want to skate there. Like, these guys are like the Vans Park in particular. When you go there, you'll just see like crazy people ripping, and it is kind of intimidating, but also it's like,
yeah, I have like where like if I get off work and I go to like a park in LA and there's like a bunch of industry guys there, I'm like, I don't have time, I'm off the clock, I'm gonna go like skate by myself or something.
Yeah.
But like I don't mind skating around people.
So when I was working for Jankum, I liked skating before work, like going to Blue Park before work, because no one would be there and no one could like pitch you ideas while you're skating or ask why you didn't run their video or ask shit like that. So if you go before work, no one's there, so it's like, all right, I can skate in peace for a little while.
Yeah, I'm such a night skater is because like we had keys to the Zero Park. Like we probably like Bobier probably got one when he was like 17. And then so we had Carlsbad Park that was lit up till 10, and then like Black Box, like at the beginning no one lived in town, so like we could go there. We were like the only ones that could go there, like a few parks before the big one. And like we would just go there, like on like a Friday we'd go to a high school party, and then it'd get shut down. We'd just like our crew would just go and skate till like 5 a.m. and like bring girls and be smoking weed and stuff, and it was like super fun. And like, but it became like I'm like a night owl with skating, and I just never be able to, like, my ankles don't wake up until like 2 p.m. now. So
speaking of your ankles, you fucked your ankle pretty bad, right?
Yeah, twice. I've like basically broken everything in my body. I'm like kind of accident prone through like, but like through skating, yeah, like the big injury is like twice. I've dislocated my ankle, tore the ligament, separated my shin, and my leg broke. The first one was like pivot faking, like a 10-foot quarter pipe. And then that one was like, okay, like I was probably skating in like 6 months or 5 months or something. And like, but then within 3 or 4 years, I did it again, and it was all scar tissue on scar tissue. So I was basically on crutches for like 6 or 7 months in a walking boot. My left calf atrophied so much that I like still can't flex it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so like especially nowadays when I'm posting clips, I'm like, this is a fucking miracle. Like they told me I'd never skate, you know. And then the last like decade or so, or like last 5 years, I started getting Achilles tendonitis in the other ankle because it was like taking so much of like the like weight of like off the left ankle, and that my right. So I was like, oh, I could survive with like 1 bad ankle, and like 2 bad ankles sucked. But like in the last like 6 to 8 months, it's been like coming back around. I've been feeling a little lighter, skating well. So.
And you've been hiking a bunch too, right?
Yeah, I basically figured out. Yeah, I do these hikes in LA up Griffith Park, and it's like 1,600 feet elevation. It's basically just hike up a hill for like an hour and a half, and like that stretches my whole body out and like gets me like got the strength back and stuff. And then I kind of have a system where it's like if I don't skate for a few weeks or like a week, I'll go and do a hike, wait 2 days, and then it like all feels like crispy.
Yeah. Your body's like ready to move, ready to do stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And just now it's like, you know, before I couldn't skate twice in a day or anything. Like I would just like get scared, and like now I'm like, oh, like I can skate for hours again. It's pretty sick. I'm feeling it.
A revitalization.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm back.
As you hit a certain age that we won't mention.
Yeah. I'm 29, I swear.
Dude, you just got to tell yourself that, and then you're good.
Yeah.
So after the recession hit, you went back to school for a little while. Then did you go back to working in skating, or were you doing jobs elsewhere?
So my like project I went to school, like I was like, even though I went back to college, I was in like I wanted to get back out there.
Yeah.
And so for the nonprofit stuff, I found this like program that was like at UCSD Extension for professional certificates, but it was like there's not that many nonprofit schools out there. Mm-hmm. So I went to this program, and it was super sick. Like all my teachers were like people who worked in nonprofits, and like they would just teach there at night. And during that, I did all the advocacy for Poods Park, like the Encinitas Park. Mm-hmm. And so once I got done with that and had Poods Park, I'd kind of known the Tony Hawk Foundation guys, and like they hired me, and I got to work in Birdman Land for like almost 12 months or something. So that was like my first foray back into skating. And like that's when I realized like, I mean, I'm not a natural fundraiser, or like, I don't know. It was like, I'm not like a kiss ass or like corporate. I don't know. It was like I worked on the like fundraising side, and like wasn't the natural fit. Like I was probably better at programming or something, so I didn't last very long. And then like after that, I was going to go back to school and get like a real degree and go to law school. Like that was my plan. And that's when like the guys from IASC found me, International Association of Skateboard Companies. And they like, I had to like audit their emails years later, and I saw like they're like, we found lightning, we found someone who can do this or something. And they originally hired me for like to be director of research, which is insane because I suck at math. I don't have an economics degree. It was just, but I was like 28 or something, and I was just like, I'll say yes to anything. I didn't think about it, like didn't look at their financials beforehand, nothing. But I had like all these industry guys that I really looked up to, like Don Brown and like Hunter from Nike, and was on the board, Steve Van Doren, and then like Bod Boyle gave me this speech. He's like, you can learn in the classroom or you want to come learn in the real world kind of thing. And like I started working there, and they even told me, they're like, yeah, we're going to bring you on here, but the like previous executive director was like on his way out, and he was like, oh, I'm going to train you for like 6 months and then you'll take over. And we did like one industry summit, and he handed me a spreadsheet of passwords and a fat invoice for all of his back pay, and he bounced.
Jesus Christ. So he just left you a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, so like my whole time at IAS, I always say like it was like I was pushing a rock up a hill, and the boulder fell on me every time. Everything I tried to do there like didn't work, and it was like in the industry, like they wanted all this data, but they didn't want to pay for it. They like, it was like all of the corporate shoe companies were coming up, and like they did a lot of the advocacy work on like they had people in their building doing it. Like they didn't need a trade association, and like, you know, like
Nike had someone in-house that was already doing that. Yeah,
like lobbying or whatever like that. And then like so like I asked before I went like work there, like they started like they got the first like insurance bill passed, where like skateboarding was considered a hazardous activity, so you couldn't sue places, and like that basically sparked the skate park boom. And like then they created a guide for skate parks, and like that was like Tony Hawk Foundation took that, and like then Go Skateboarding Day and the Skateboarding Hall, like they actually did shit at a while. They had some failures. They did the blank boards thing where they all complained about blank boards. People were like, go fuck yourself, like we're poor and break boards, like, you know?
Dude, I'm guilty of that. We used to buy off eBay blank boards, 10 for $100, and we'd like split it, and then you just had 5 boards for $50.
Yeah, when you're like 18, and if you're like a bigger guy or something, you're breaking boards a lot, like that adds up. So like
it didn't even matter if they sucked too. You were just like, nah, I don't have $50 for 1 board. Yeah, but I got $50 for 5 boards.
Exactly. So that was all before my time there. But I'd like run these like industry conferences, and I used to do this thing called the State of Skate, which was like this like report on like how skateboarding was doing. We had like a this place called Action Watch that would give you like hard goods are up 7% this year or something, and then I would do like the participation research and be like, oh, skateboarding added or grew 1 million people in the US this year or whatever. And like literally like they hired me, and I had to start prepping for that first presentation, and then like within a month or two I was on stage and I do an hour-long presentation in front of like half the industry on just like state of skateboarding stuff. And like I tried to put my own flair on it. Like I did all this research where like one of them was like I took injury data and like mixed it with participation data to like show that you could like skateboarding isn't like more dangerous than anything. Like I compared it, like skateboarding's way less dangerous than like hockey or whatever, and like injuries per like person or something. And I was like, oh, these guys are gonna take this and they'll be able to like, you know, like give it to a PR person. Everyone's gonna know that like skateboarding isn't as dangerous, and like no one cared. I did another research project where it was like figuring out like how many skate parks we really needed in the US. Like, and it was just like, I thought like industry would hear that and we'd like, everyone would want to build skate parks or like get places for kids to skate or something. And like that fell flat. Like it was just like, but I mean, now looking back, like skateboarding as a whole is always 3 pay periods away from going under. Like these guys, like they are looking at the next 6 months or something, or 3 months or whatever. Like it's hard to be like, yeah, in 7 years, if X, Y, and Z happens, then like skateboarding will be on a better level and stuff. So that was, I mean, it was a tough job, but like I learned so much, and like all my board members like ran companies and stuff. It also gave me confidence, because it's like, you know, like
yeah, you were thrown on stage in front of all these
thrown
people,
on stage and you'd be meetings and you're like, I'm as smart as that guy, you know, like you're like, you know, you're like, oh, like this person isn't like, they just work hard and like stay at it kind of thing. So it gave me like confidence coming out of that.
I think like seeing the type of people who wanted to work in skateboarding while I was doing it, it was like if you were like the half bit competent, like if you were able to just like answer some emails and kind of just be on top of it, you were ahead of the game. Because a lot of people just think, oh, I'll work in skating and I'll just like be around and hang out. They don't realize that like you gotta actually do a little bit of work sometimes.
A lot of work, yeah. I mean, especially after the recession, it's like, you know, everyone has 5 hats and they do it, you know.
So you got to see kind of like a boom, a big recession, and then like currently like, I mean, another boom like around right before COVID to like maybe like a year or so ago, like another big boom in skating.
I mean, I'm kind of the one where like people really don't know what's going on. That's even like why I wanted to do research and shit, because like the amount of like stuff that's out there that's actually fact about skateboarding is way less than you'd ever imagine.
Yeah.
Like if you ever hear like a number like industry size, doesn't exist. Like skateboarders worldwide doesn't exist. Like we tried to do that research and it was like millions of dollars and like no one's paying for that, you know?
Also, how could you kind of calculate that? Like how many skaters there are in the world just off of sales? Like
no, this was I was in contact with a research company because like there's a company in the US that does it where I trust them because they've been doing it for like 50 years, and it's like they don't just do skateboarding, they do every like recreation thing.
All right.
And it's like an ongoing thing. They use Nielsen data, they do all this shit, and like in the US, like at least they've been doing it the same way forever, and like we're like, you know, we're up a little than like in like the late 2010s or whatever. And then internationally, like I tried to get Brazil, and they're like, the research company was like, yeah, that'd be $1 million just for one country.
And no company is.
No one gives a shit. I mean, it's like, like, what are you really gonna do with that data? You know, like there's a lot of skaters in Brazil. Does it matter if it's 500,000 or 3 million or something? Like even the data stuff, like the average skate company has no idea what to do with it. But like Zoomies or Nike or whatever, like you can like take the participation stuff and be like, oh, we need to put a store there, kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think now that stuff would be more valuable to know for skate companies now that it's
I guess my original point was like, you know, everything in skateboarding is anecdotal. So when you hear those like doom and gloom, you're like, that could just be that one company, or like there's also like, you know, way more companies at the moment. So it's like we're kind of like oversaturated, and then like everyone just focuses in on like what's in front of them. So like, you know, skateboarding is probably booming worldwide, but like that's not, you know, if like the skate shop down the street's doing bad and you're hearing that every day, you're like, oh, like skateboarding's not in a good place because, you know,
you hear that a lot now, like over the past year or two.
Yeah, and I don't want to like diminish that or anything, but I also think like, you know, you also talk to companies that are new and doing interesting shit and kind of booming, and you're like, oh, like there is ways to do, like some people are doing well. Yeah, but like, you know, when there's 700 board companies, like, you know, obviously hard goods is going to be a tough business because you're competing against like 700 people and these YouTubers and all these other people. So
yeah, I guess now, too, there's more avenues to go down, too. Like, earlier when you were doing that kind of stuff, the industry was kind of insular and, like, kind of set. Now, there's so many independent board companies. Like you said, there's just, like, random people on YouTube selling shit.
Yeah, even now with, like, Jankum stuff, I'm like, I can't think of, like, I just have, like, are we doing it, like, you know, like, focus in on I've become one of those people. Like, oh, I'm just going to focus on what's in front of me. Like, I don't really care if, you know, participation grew 3 or 5% this year. Like that doesn't change my business or anything. So it's like, that's the thing, like, especially like academic skateboarding. I like read these people doing reports and like the very first page, and they're like a famous academic, and they're like, skateboarding's a $20 billion industry. You're like, how the fuck did you get that? Like you just, and it's like those like Statista websites. You can like Google it and it's like, dude, did you look at the cliff notes or anything? Like take it 2 steps further and figure out like, You know, we tried to do something too where we're trying to figure out number of skateboards worldwide. And the way we're going to do that was like grip tape, because we're figuring like grip tape's got to be 1-to-1 of like, or like close to that.
Yeah.
So we tried to get all the grip tape companies to like go to like a third party and give them that stuff. And they would make a report, and like all the grip tape companies were like, that's like, they just like, they weren't, I don't want to say sophisticated enough, but like they're like, you know, skateboarders are like nervous. They're like, I don't want, like, and everyone like, who knows what someone's books look like.
You don't
like,
want to give away too much info.
Yeah. So like that was another project that didn't work. Like there was just all these kind of like things in there that like I did like months of work, and then just like, you guys want to pay for this? And everyone's like, crickets. So.
So then you brought up Jankum. How did you start working with Jankum? Because you started after I was there. Yeah,
well, I mean, originally, because Ian was kind of bubbling up, and I got introduced to him at a trade show, and there just weren't a lot of, like, I don't want to shit on generations too much, but basically all of the guys who were running skateboarding when I was 20 are still the guys running it now kind of thing. And I was like, oh, there's a millennial that's my age starting something exciting who's talking about things that I think need to be talked about. So I was always like attracted to Jankum and like everything behind it. And then when like I finally gave up on iAsk, I was like, between like looking for jobs, and like Ian was like offered me to write stuff. But at that time, I was so like inside industry that it was like the average kid doesn't give a shit about what I'm like. You know, like my first project or like writing piece I tried to do for Jankum was I interviewed like this lawyer who's like a lawyer for like everyone. Like there's only like 3 lawyers in all of skateboarding. And this was one of them.
I remember that one.
Yeah, and Newt's like, this is boring. Like, and like looking back, I'm like, yeah, like I was probably talking about like high level stuff
but now
that like
Newt's a lawyer, so
yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm jealous. Yeah. So yeah, and then like me and Newt were butting heads over it, and I called Ian and I was like, dude, I'm a okay writer, I'm a great worker, like, and he's like, oh, actually I have this sales and like partnerships thing that would be like that would be perfect for you, because you're going to be talking to all the people who are just on your board. You know, so like I kind of just went over and like, but it took me years to like learn media and kind of everything, and like
because it's different than working just for a brand.
The
media stuff is like a totally different landscape than working for
totally,
like
and even
or a board company.
He said something to me right when I started that I'll always remember. I was like, "Oh, my friend works for this media company. Like, I'm gonna go talk to them." And he's like, "Dude, stuff changes so quickly. Like, that guy's 2 years behind. You need like." He just kind of schooled me of like how it was, and even like it changes year to year for us now. I'm always having to like, you know, kind of be nimble and keep it moving.
Yeah. No, I started at Jankum just as like an intern, but then just as like a writer. And then quickly, I had to learn how to like edit stuff for Instagram or do audio stuff or shoot photos. Like it changed so quickly from just being like a writing publication to being like kind of everything then, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like
we were behind if we weren't learning that stuff. Like, so Alexis kind of had a good grasp on all that kind of stuff. I didn't. I knew how to write, and that was pretty much it. So I was like learning a lot of that shit on the fly too.
And again, like that's like people don't realize how much has changed in the last 20 years and like it's like things that'll happen that we just like took that happened but don't realize like the lasting impact, like moving from print to social, like you know, kids these days, they don't define themselves as skateboarders. Like I learned this term in like 2015 or something. They call it taking out the ER, where you're like kids were like, they're not a skateboarder, but they skate. They're not a surfer, but they surf. Okay, and it was like, it was the skateboarding used to be like a core driven industry, and it flipped to be a casual driven industry. And you see like in the Quarter Snacks thing recently, like there's guys who are like, yeah, these kids don't define themselves on skateboarders. Or like, yeah, like people were talking about that like 7 years ago, or like skateboarding got way older. Like, you know, skateboarding in like, I want to say early 2010s was like 70% under 18. And now it's almost completely flipped where it's 60% over 18, or like 60% over 18, under, or 40% under 18. It's like completely like changed of like who you're selling to, how you're selling it, and like yeah, it's just like and it's also brutal. Like it's like, you know, like
they're only getting older.
From 1950 to 1990, everything was like stagnant, or even like the 2000s. Like basically the marketing tactics didn't change, just like the trends and the people changed kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's been like so many things in a row. Like no wonder everyone's fucked. Like it's really hard. Like, you know.
You said earlier, like the same guys who were running the industry like 20 years ago are still kind of running the industry.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll like change?
Hopefully. I mean, but also,
is there like a negative to that or a positive to it? Like,
I mean, personally, it's just hard because I was like, you know, people talked about me being like running mystery when I was like 20 or something. And then like, so I was like, oh, I was right there. And it still feels like now you have like the grants and like people running limo and like all these companies are kind of younger. I don't know. I don't want to like get in too much trouble, I guess. Like,
no, not like in a bad way, but
I mean, I do think we market too much of like, you know, our icons. I mean, skateboarders do suck at retiring. I think we need to like hype up retiring more and just like, you know, I want like your peak skating is normally 21 to 28. Like, let's go help those kids, you know?
Yeah.
But now like you transition into like being a dad influencer and like brands are like selling to the dads and stuff. And it's just like kind of like stuck in that cycle where like, and then you aren't building the next generation of icons. Like there hasn't been a second Tony Hawk or like, you know? Yeah. So it's like hard to like, I'm like, you know, I wish there was 10 Tony Hawks or something like.
But yeah, I guess it's tough too because, like you said, the age of skating is also older than it used to be too. So marketing like Reynolds as like this father figure skateboarder is gonna sell way more than marketing like, I don't know, some 22-year-old who's really good doing the craziest shit you've ever seen.
But his image hasn't been built up, you know, and like, you know, they aren't put on that pedestal super early or anything. And like, it's like a funny time where like, you know, Bones Brigade reissues can just fly off the shelves for like $300. I always say like, you know, like older skaters like suddenly had money and they could buy all the things that they couldn't buy when they were kids. And then like everything in skateboarding is kind of under that dollar amount where you don't have to ask your wife. So it's like, oh, I could buy like the Bones Brigade's 5 issue for like $1,200, and like that's not like a huge purchase or anything, and like that's kind of like and I don't know, like I hope it's getting better of like older skaters like falling in love with younger skaters kind of thing. Like I think that's not, you know, like in football or at regular sports, dudes retire and like 60-year-olds know like the 18-year-old prospect who's going to or like Florida State next year or something, you know. Like I wish like there was that much passion to like learn about the next generations from like, you know. And then they also like, oh, like skating's different, or like they liked jumpers, or they liked bowl skaters or something, and then it's like, oh, these kids these days are too weird or something. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Classic like old guy change of guard kind of thing. I guess it's a little more.
Yeah, there was another thing that I learned at IAS. The guys explained to me, it was like a lot of people started skate shops when they were like in their early 20s out of passion, and then 25 years goes by and you're a 50-year-old hanging out with a bunch of little kids.
Yeah.
Like, and then like then you talk about all like the marketing changes that happen, and you have to like run a gram, and you got to like, oh, you're getting Nikes, you got to do your YouTube to like hype it up the drops and everything. Like it's so much different.
Yeah, it's a totally different game than when they were coming up in it.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes when I hear those stories of the doom and gloom, I'm like, well, is that person like, did they switch it up? Did they keep it moving? Like, or are they just like still running 90s marketing in like a social media age?
Yeah. And then I feel like, so I worked at KCDC for a while, and when Amy started it, it was cool. You know, like she was involved in the scene a lot. And I'm not saying she wasn't towards the end of it. Like, nothing against her, but she was definitely older. She was, like, a stepmom to children. She had a husband. She had gotten sober. She had like other shit she was also working on.
And it's like such a low margin job or like low margin business that you like don't even have like the money to invest in like the next person to take it over or something. Like you'd have to split the main revenue source, have to pay 2 top people or something.
And there's just not that much money. If you want to keep doing it, you need to like hold on to what you have and what you know.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm not saying anything bad about it, but you could tell at a certain point it stopped being like connected to the main kind of core skateboarding and was just more of like a store. Like a regular retail store.
Yeah, and like, and
which
it's
all fine.
We're also like a trends-based industry, and it's like that's like trends are not like a trend-based industry is brutal. Like you are one missed trend away from going under at any given time. Like so it's like, people shit talk online or something, but like when you're in it, it's like so incredibly hard to like, like you're making marketing plans for 6 months from now and like trying to like make the right product mix and everything. And like, if you miss like, another thing like in just like general skateboarding parlance, like people are like, oh, I wish skateboard industry would die. So it would like regenerate or whatever. And I went through that. And like, I remember like people who were like, accountants who had kids and like those people got let go and like you had all these like it's like brutal. It was like there's people who've like Black Box, that was 2008. There's still people that never recovered. Like it was like they were on a track and that all burned down and then it was like so competitive and there wasn't enough jobs that like people got left behind. So I want to like freshen up the industry, but I also want to like recognize that like business and like it's way more. It's a lot of our narratives inside skateboarding are from the high school lunch table, and they never evolved from there.
Yeah, all right. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So.
So speaking about like trends and stuff, you guys with CSEF, you guys just put out a dunk.
Yeah. I feel like wildest ride of my life for sure.
Yeah. What was that like from like start to finish? How'd you get hooked up with starting it?
So like I knew Kelly Bird he was on our IAS board. And I was like, I'd always hit him up for Jankum stuff. And he was actually the first industry person who was like, you should do this. Like he was not even just, you should do this. He got it immediately. Other people, like people still don't get it. He was like, that's a great idea. You should do this. Like, and so we just kind of kept in touch and they gave us our first like big donation and like, they always were big supporters. And I thought it was over text or maybe it was in a call, but I just remember I threw it out as a joke. It's like, CSEF dunk? And he's like, yeah, you should pitch it. And I was like, wait, what? like full record scratch moment. And that was probably even like 5 years ago. It was like, it took like, another year to pitch. And then like you put in their system and then it's another like few months before you get like an initial thing. Mm-hmm. And then it's like it was like 6 months for product. And then like, they say you can't tell anyone the whole time. And you're just like, fuck, I'm getting a dunk. And then... yeah, like kind of all started to roll, I think like 2 years ago now in January or something, or like a year and a half ago was like the real like design meetings and like we didn't know what to expect. And their product team is so incredibly gracious and like never said no. Like by the end I was like, can you just talk shit on it? Like just give me some negative feedback. Like, do you like it? And like if you like look at the shoe, it's like very on the nose, but like, and we weren't sure like how people would receive it or anything, but like sold out super quick.
Yeah. It's nothing crazy. It's not like you got some like furry Grateful Dead type.
No, but there's so many like little Easter eggs in it that like dunk heads are super hyped on it.
Oh,
and then like being in just the dunkhead sneakerhead universe is insane. So like last October it got leaked and they're like, oh, post the photo or else like kind of control the narrative kind of thing. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud, but like, so we posted it, or like I had a migraine on a Friday and they hit me up with like, post it right now. I'm like, I don't have a photo and I have a migraine. Give me till Monday. And then my homie drove up and we just drove around, did like DIY random shoots all around. And then we posted it and then suddenly it's on like all of these Instagrams with millions of followers. And like, we're already starting to get people and like, just that, like the intensity of that universe.
Cause I remember when I saw it, I hit you up about it. And you were like, it's still like months out. Yeah. And I I was confused why I was like seeing the pictures, but they still
because
were, like,
someone like the story like basically someone had like detail shots and then it got out there and people started like mocking up their own and they're just terrible. They were like horrible mock-ups, and so that's why you kind of get it out there to like get ahead of it. And then I remember like the first real photo of it, this dude had like palm trees socks on. And like me and a few like my friend Josh, who's also on the board, like him and this guy Pat, who's like they're like our art team. Mm-hmm. They were just so offended by these socks, and they just couldn't wait for it just to be a photo other than those socks.
It like, bums the whole photo out.
Yeah, it was just like so bad. Like yeah, and so it was it was a crazy ride, and like I got to like. I led the whole design process on our side, and just like, but just more, it reminded me of like going through the Poods process of like running the design meetings, because it's not like me trying to make a shoe that like is my shoe. It's like trying to make it for the brand or what's our story kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm like, dude, I just wanted suede black gum dunks kind of thing. And then you kind of like, we would just like come up with elements, and like it was like you'd have a few design meetings, they'd wait months, you get a sample, you do some feedback, you keep it moving, and like we had no idea what to expect, and like people really loved it.
So there's a lot of people on the CSEF board, right? Or not a lot, but like
we have like I think there's 11 of us now, because we had a few just join the board.
So did you have to like run everything through all of you guys? Like was it like a whole group thing, like or were there some?
We'd have like check-ins. There's like our core group. Like there's like me, Keegan, Josh, and Pat are our like main. Have been our main like workers kind of thing, and like we kind of led the design process. And the other thing is like one of our first recipients. Her name's Stephanie Levita, and she was one of our first recipients. And Keegan had like put her in touch with Nike, and she ended up getting an internship there, and now she works in the marketing department. Oh, so we had like, she was on the other side, like trying to like be the middle person kind of thing. So like we had a lot of like, I didn't want too many kooks in the kitchen kind of thing. Yeah. And then everyone was just like hyped on it. Like it's that's like cool. It was, I had to like have a rule on a lot of meetings where it was like, we're not talking about the dunk. Like we have other shit to do, we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. Like I know it's exciting, but like we got to raise money for this year and pick out
that's all I'd want to talk about is like, all right.
Yeah, I went insane. Like especially once we started having the shoes and they were at my house, and like I would just like walk around my house in them and like look down and be like, I can't believe this is real. Like it was like, I have very high ambitions inside skateboarding. This was never on my radar. Like having like a, basically a pro model or something of like something you did, like that was never, especially awesome. A dunk. Like
that's
dunks were huge. Like right when we were in like high school and stuff, and I had a lot of friends who worked at skate shops, and like. Those are the days where like skate shops would be like, you walked in as a skater, it's $75. You walked in, you're a sneakerhead, $150. Like it was like Wild West days. Like I had friends get like the Heineken dunks early, or like Heineken dunks at the time, and like how much those are worth now. So I was always like, I knew the lore of dunks.
Yeah. But you weren't ever like a dunk head. Like
I wore like Nikes one time when I was working at Fallen, just trainers, and I came to work and Jamie called me a plastic sellout.
Oh my god. That's fucking awesome.
But like I didn't know what it meant. Like I don't know. It was like I was like, do I have to wear Fallens? Like I guess I'm the assistant TM. I don't know. Like, but I just needed like some like, it's a huge warehouse. I'm on my feet all day. Like I just wanted something comfortable, and like yeah. So I never wore Nikes till late. Like I was an Excel kid. Tom Penny's was always been my favorite. So like I'd always just rock Excels before that, and then. Yeah, and then like I started getting Nikes, and now I'm like a dunk guy. Like, I skate dunks. I love them. Like
the best part of working at the skate shop was the dunks. Like I paid 2 months rent off the Travis Scott dunks. It was the best time to just like once a month there was a good dunk release, and you just knew like, all right, I'm getting $1,000 at least this month. Like my paycheck from the skate shop will be late, but my payout from StockX will be on time, so I know I'm doing good this month, Yeah. Or if it didn't hit, you were like, oh, dude, this is only reselling for like $300. I'm fucked,
Dude, when the shoe is about to drop, and like I did a few just like fundraisers with different shops, just try to like get some money back into CSEF. But it, like I hit them all up in like this January of like, hey, we kind of want to do something. And then when the shoe was about to come out, it was like mid-tariff season, and like every skate shop was like, oh, this is a very important thing to us. I went psycho because of that too. I was like, dude, what if these flop and like all these skate shops go under because they like pre-booked them? I don't know. Like I overthink all the time. So it was like, I was like, oh my God, what if it flops? Like, what if people don't like it and skate shops are stuck with it? And then like,
they're going to blame you.
I don't know. Or they just like, you know, like, oh, a bunch of them go under or something. I don't know. I was just like overthinking the whole thing. And like, it was stressful and like, so, and then it all worked out. Oh.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed it was pretty well received. They sold
they
sold out super quick. So.
Yeah, they like sold out in skate shops in like a week, and they sold out in StockX Sneakers app in 2 hours.
That's sick.
Yeah, then
was
like
it cool watching that? Like, were you just like refreshing constantly to see?
I mean, it was so quick that it was like instantly like most of the sizes were gone, and then like it's weird to think back now because it feels a long time ago, but that was only like 3 or 4 months ago. We got to have like, you know, we threw a little release party for just like friends and family. That was really fun, giving people free drinks and like, I don't know.
That was in New York, right?
No, that was in LA.
Oh, all right. And then you did something in New York for it too, right?
That wasn't for the shoe. We just did like a fundraiser thing. We did
right.
like RB O'Malley did like a little talk, and then like we were trying to get people like give them the pitch on CSEF and try to become donors and whatnot. Nice. We want to do more of those.
So with the, like aside from the dunk and the fundraising and stuff, what goes into like getting the scholarships out to people and like that whole process? And
yeah, I guess we just gave out this year's scholarship class, so we gave out $74,000 to 31 skateboarders, maybe 32, something like that. And this year was, I mean, they're all gnarly years. It's a lot of reading. We normally get between 250 and 300 applicants, and each app is like 2 to 5 pages. So this year, like Google Docs, like changed their character limit, and we couldn't put it all in a Google Doc. It was like too big of a first file, and we break it up, but it's like we break it up so like every app gets read 3 or 4 times, but like just the first round, and then we cut it down to like 70, and every one of those gets read. But I mean, like people like we have like essay questions, like it's all the standard like. You know, starts with like, you know, your school background, what are you doing, what's your GPA, where are you going, kind of thing, what's your major, and then it's like your financial questions, what's your household income, you know, like how much do you pay, and how much like do you pay in tuition, and like how much like you really pay in tuition, because like a lot of people have scholarships and stuff like that. So you're already like, holy shit, this is so fucking expensive. Like you get like, you know, people going to art school that's like $60,000 a year or something, and you're like nuts, and like, you know, and then you get to their stories. So like our essay questions is like, tell us like, you know, how skateboarding changed your perspective on the world, or like something, you know, give us kind of a heartfelt story about skateboarding, and then like who's your favorite skateboarder and why. And then, like, how are you going to use your major? Like, what do you want to do with your education? And then, like, how have you helped your community? And, like, the stories are, like, gnarly. So, like, I'm, like, a wreck every year. And, like, you know, we gave out 31 or 32 this year. And, like, I'd give, like, the top 100, like, in my mind, like, they all, like, deserve it. And so I'm just, like, how do I get more money? Like, and it's, like, a brutal process to read them all. So it's, like... You're just like, people pour their heart into it, and you're hearing these stories, and like you hear these incredible stories about like what people think of skateboarding, or like how skateboarding affected them. And you're just like, you know, you're like, oh my God, that was such a gnarly, like this person, I'll give it to them. And then you read the next one, you're like, oh my God, like this person's even crazier story. And like this year we had 2 essays on like, for first time ever for favorite skaters, they did it about their dad, because that's the era of skateboarding we're getting into. The one that fucked us up was one person was like, yeah, I got into skateboarding because my grandfather gave me Minefield, and that's why Jason Dill's my favorite skater. And we're like, dude, grandpas have, like the grandpa, or like people from the Minefield era now are grandfathers that have kids going into college. Like it was like very like, holy shit. Like
that's wild.
Yeah, super wild. And then like, so you're just reading these, so like, it gets me like, I mean, it makes me like, like, you know, people get bitter on skateboarding, and I'm like, I get to read what it actually does. Like, all this industry stuff is kind of whatever. Like, the kids on the ground, like
normal, the everyman kind of.
And I think Jankum and CSCF, like, you know, we're both like, you know, like, it's for the people, like the average skateboarder, you know, like that's what, like, I'm not out to help, like, because people are, oh, why don't you do an NCAA scholarship? I'm like, I do not give two shits on how good a kid is at skateboarding.
Yeah.
Like, if they're talented and they have, like, a dream that they want to accomplish that I can help with, like, that's what I'm looking for.
It was always working with Jankum. Like, the interviews I got more hyped on weren't, like, interviewing pros or stuff like that. It was interviewing, like, the random, like, one-off person who maybe just made, like, a passion project video or, like, who built a DIY park, like some random person. Those were always like the interviews where it felt like it made a difference, because you'd interview a pro, they'd be stoned as fuck, not giving you answers,
or just super nervous. They're like, oh, I just like
I don't want to say this, or I can't
make me look cool, like
and then you interview someone who like made a DIY in their town, and they're telling you everything. They're on time for the phone call. They're sending you pictures right when you're done with the interview. You know, like it was like that, and it meant like more to that person than it did to the pro who's just doing another interview because they had a video part come out and it's their third interview that month.
So,
or something,
I mean,
you know?
think of reading 300 of those about like how people, and it's, you know, like, and it's crazy to think like people, and then they send you their footage and they're just like an average skateboarder, and you're like, damn, you have so much passion. There was a kid this year that wrote a 3-page essay on Louis Lopez, and it was the most beautiful thing. Like, not to knock your writing, but it was one of his beautiful, epic pieces, and it was just all about how Louis helps kids in South Central and what it meant to have someone from his neighborhood make it in skateboarding and then come back and help the community.
That's
and
incredible.
Like, yeah, and one of our board members like took it and sent it to Louis, and like, you know, we get to do stuff like that. And even like one year, I don't want to blank her name, but I'm totally blanking her name right now. But the woman who runs the like skateboarding librarian, Women Skate the World or whatever, like she's a librarian major, or like she's a librarian for a real job. And a guy wrote a story about how she inspired him to become a librarian and name-checked her the entire time. I'm going to feel like such a dick for not remembering her name on the spot, but that's now how my brain...
edit it in every time you're saying you're blanking her name. We'll just like dub in her
thank you.
voice, you know?
But like we ran into her last year, and Josh printed it out and signed it on our behalf and gave it to her, and was like, look what your difference you're making for like people that you don't even think about it. And it's like, especially nowadays, like the social skate movement, like that's like inspiring so much shit that it's like giving people direction, and like, oh, I can use skateboarding as a tool of social change kind of thing, which like can get corny and can get weird real quick, but like there's a lot of people who like put their heart and soul into it, and
that's
it's
cool. And it actually makes a difference. Like you're seeing the difference it makes. It's not just like for some Instagram post or whatever.
Exactly. So, and I kind of like, I had people like that throughout my life who were like, I didn't have like, my sisters are way older than me. I grew up like on a farm in the middle of nowhere. And like, so I always had these like older brother type figures, like randomly when I was like probably 13 or 14 in high school. My tutor skated and was like in all the Troubleshooters videos.
Oh shit.
And he would just take me around and like with all these like Skate Mafia before it was Skate Mafia, and like he was like such a profound like influence on my life. And then like one of these guys I worked with at Clive, his name's Rudy Vasquez, he was like my older brother. He'd drive us every Thursday to this skate park like an hour away, and like it was like a paid park, and we'd bring one Clive bag and we'd get like 10 people in, and he'd drive us home. And I'm like, dude, like I like thinking back, like that, like that's incredible that he did that for us. Or like
like he didn't have to do any of that.
And then like in Encinitas we had this guy Jeff King who like we had Flat Bar Friday was like the real first like Encinitas, or like North County, like there's a few like very strong skate towns, but every Friday he would bring flat bars to just this abandoned parking lot. He was like, his King Rails, I don't know, like, but they're like, he was before Element Flat Bars. He was like the first flat bar business. So every Friday, and he was like maybe mid-20s or something at that time, like without a doubt, always there every Friday. And it was like built our whole community. It's like where I like either at Carlsbad Park or at Flat Bar Friday, I met so many people that I still know today. And I'm like thinking back, like that's so rad that he just like did that. Like he put us all on his back, and like built this community that we're all still friends, all because of Jeff King, who's like, if you met him, you're like, oh, this guy's kind of like just like a stoner burnout. Like, I don't know, he's got crazy beard and stuff, but like he was like, yeah, what he did for all of us. So that's kind of like, that inspired, you know, like me going into CSEF and stuff of like, oh, now we're kind of like inspiring people too.
Yeah. And you like stay in pretty good contact with all like the past recipients and stuff, right? Like,
yeah, it's more like Keegan's, like that's like Keegan's more, he's like runs the education committee. I like link up with some of them, but he's in like constant communication with a lot of them. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I get too emotional and stuff.
Yeah,
so I'm
no,
just like, yeah, cool. He does, like, you know, that's kind of his role. I like run the brand stuff. Like, another thing is like, we want to look like a skateboard company. Like a lot of nonprofits are boring and stuffy.
Yeah.
And like Pat Simpson,
He's always done all the art and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
He does all the art.
A bunch of Jankum artwork too, I think.
Yeah, he's done some work for us. He's done some work for the Barracks, the New Balance and stuff. And like, he's an incredible artist. Even like he did all the art for the Dunk. So like the pusher is like his art, and then like if you actually look at the insole, like it's all his art on the insole, and then there's an Easter egg. If you rip the insole out, on the back of it is like a burning grad hat, and like that's his art. And like that's another, like that was almost my favorite part of the whole Dunk thing, was like we got his art on a Dunk. Like it was like so sick that like he'll have that for the rest of his life. Like, oh, my art's on a Dunk kind of thing. It's crazy. So yeah, and like Keegan keeps in like pretty good contact. That's kind of like the next frontier of CSEF is more like what's the word I'm thinking of? Just like, you know, building this community of like all these smart skateboarders and doing mentorship. And like now that we've done it a few years, like, oh, you're like even going to law school, like Newt's going to law school, and Jeremy Scarf, one of our Dean's List recipients, is going to law school. And just when I was here, I was like, you're in second year, you're in first year, like you guys should talk, like skateboarders going to law school, like and like they linked up and stuff like that. So like the mentorship's kind of our next thing of like being able to like bring these people together. And like, you know, when you're in school, sometimes it can be lonely, or like if you're with your skate crew, there's not a person who really like, oh, I want to like go to grad school for history or something. But like we have, you know, I think we've now given 291,000 to 114 skateboarders.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so now we have this like huge like group that we've done.
Yeah.
I really wanted to pass 300K this year, but we didn't do it. Like,
you got next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess you kind of answered this already, but like being in skating for so long, like it is super easy to get jaded, bitter, and like
it's my superpower. I don't get jaded. Yeah, I don't know.
How do you do it? Like, I know you said like the CSEF, reading that kind
CSEF
of
stuff, being around like all these pros when I was a kid and not having that like pro and like never thinking that, where I was like this, you know, my skating's I in like my 20s I was able to separate my industry industry brain from my skating brain. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, a lot of people, they get like embarrassed by skateboarding and it makes them not want to skate. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, I have to skate. Like there's that, it's two different sides of my brain kind of thing. So like my relationship with my skateboard is my relationship with my skateboard. No one's getting in the way of that.
Yeah.
You
no
know?
Job, no outside bullshit.
Yeah. Like
no
that's never,
bullshit.
you know, so, and then like jaded, I mean, I don't know how, but I've done a good job of like staying current and like falling in love with different generations of skateboarders, you know, like going from Penny to iShod to like Nick Michael or something, like always kind of like keeping my head in the game kind of thing, and like going into it with like, I don't know, not judgmental or anything, and like accepting the next generation for like, oh, it's their turn, they get to do whatever they want. Like if they have a different interpretation of skateboarding, then who am I to say something?
Yeah.
All of skateboarding is just someone, like, we all have personal relationships with our skateboards, you know, like, and then it just gets like muddled, and like people think it's like this whole thing, and it's just all of us wanting to like get out some aggression on a skateboard or have fun or like build community or whatever. Like, you know, I get jaded over like the generation stuff, or like people like that I think of, like people who've like milk skateboarding, that bums me the fuck out.
Yeah.
But like, you know, like I think if you get paid for skateboarding, you should be skating as hard as you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's something like, but like that has nothing to do with me going and slapping a curb or skating a mini ramp or something like.
It's totally separate.
Yeah, but I have like friends even that like they'll get secondhand embarrassment. They're like, I don't want to skate like skateboard like, you know, that was whack or like something whack happened. I don't want to skate now or something. It's like, how does that affect you? Like, what does that have to do with it? And like skateboarding's so big and broad, like, you know. I mean, Thebo had a line that like this probably 3 or 4 years ago where he's like skateboarding's the best it's ever been right now because it's like so diverse and like every pocket that's ever been in skateboarding is like the best it's ever been right now. You know, like bowl skaters, street skaters. I mean, we were talking there's a lack of jumpers or huckers right now, but like that could just be a temporary thing or like, but like every type of skateboarding is at its peak right now, you know? Like I loved Keenan Milton and like I always said like, oh, I loved Keenan Milton. If you would have showed me ice shot in that era, I'd be like, holy fuck. And so like, just keep that mentality to when you're actually watching ice shot, being like, dude, like this is insane. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? I could break one day or something.
Just
skateboarding does break me like every 5 years or something, and I'll just like have like a month of depression or something, just because it is tough to keep it going and everything. So
yeah, but you seem like you've been doing it for pretty much your entire
I mean on the flip side, like my family, everyone so ready for me to leave skateboarding. Like, everyone, you know, like I have pushed the limits as hard as I can, and everyone's ready to like, you know, go sell out or something. I'm like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah,
like,
but then you do something new that's just as cool as like one of the last things you did, and it's like that's okay.
Yeah. I'm so happy where I am right now, and that it's like coming together, and like every year for Jankum's getting better, and every year for CSEF's getting better. So now I'm just like. I don't know, make it to the next year.
Hell yeah. I think that's a good place to leave it off.
Wow, we did it. Oh,